I go, get your dirty, grimy paws off of me. I was like, oh, get your dirty, grimy paws off of me. And he cried.
Roll the intro.
Hello? No, I know. No, don't worry about it. Season 4 starts right now.
Let's go!
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Under the Influence of Jesus. We're so glad that you're here. We had a great time last week with Levi and I. Have a good friend named Jarrett Brown. Another special shout out just to him. He did a great episode. We had such a fun time, and it was probably one of my favorite episodes we've recorded in a really, really long time.
Till now.
Huh?
Till now.
Until now, because as you're seeing, two very special guests are here. Drum roll, please. Peri Crane, my wife.
She
and
did change
Celeste Aichlmayr, her sister.
My sister.
Well,
They
you
don't
didn't
have
cheer
they don't
for
have the
them at
same
all?
last name though. How do we know that they're sisters anymore?
Because the last time that the audience saw Peri on the show, she wasn't my wife.
Oh,
She's we're a very traditional marriage. She took my name instead of me taking hers. Oh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I know that that's how it worked for you guys.
Yeah.
Wait, it still doesn't make sense now because they were sisters. Our sisters.
wait. My brain.
I'm having a hard time right now. I'm really tired. We're so glad that
Well,
they're
she's
here.
your sister.
Are we sisters?
Wait, Jerry, she's your sister.
Who's my sister?
I'm your sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
why would
not
I?
your sister.
She's not your sister. That would be.
No, I was like, why would you say she's my sister?
I'm your sister.
Yeah. She
Yes,
is.
You're my
my
brother.
sister.
Yeah.
Levi
And I
is
am just some guy that you're. That
you look like you could
he
be
lived
our
with.
brother, though.
Kind of, yeah.
honestly, yeah.
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 There we go.
My brain's doing backflips and I'm going to throw up, so we should move on. Just kidding. Yeah, we're so glad to have both of you here. This is going to be fun. We've got some cool questions that we're going to talk about. I mean, obviously, Levi and I both know you guys, but the audience doesn't necessarily know you super well. And Peri's been on the show once before, but all we did in that episode was talk about the story of our engagement, which was a lot of fun. But now for guest episodes, we do this thing where we kind of have some questions that you guys get to think about, and then we'll ask you and we'll talk about so that the people listening have an opportunity to get to know you as well as we do, maybe, or in a way. And so we've got some fun questions, and then we've got a bit of a fun activity to do together, which will be cool. We don't often do a lot of activities on the podcast. Sometimes it's like a video reaction, but this time it's not. It'll be fun. I think Peri especially will enjoy it.
Perry is so looking forward to this.
No, I'm worried, especially about the way you're giggling. But
Don't worry, it's not like a gross food taste test or anything. Oh, and
Chris, put the gross food away.
I
We're
forgot
not doing that one.
the most important thing. No offense, but one of the most important things is that the last time Peri was on the show, we weren't even married. Now we're married, and she's pregnant. Oh, look at that!
Look at that big
Pregnant
ol'
belly.
yep.
bump of a baby.
Oh, and don't
Huge.
forget, honey, you got to be about right here on the microphone.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to re-record your yuck, but just telling you, when you're talking,
Take
it's
two.
important that we're
Yep.
up here. There you go. But yeah, she's pregnant. We're so excited. We're welcoming our first child, a son, September 21st.
A son.
A son
And a
In a
son was
world.
born unto them.
in a world
And his name
with
shall
no
be.
sons. And his name shall be, even if we knew, we wouldn't tell you.
Dang. I
But
thought
we
it was
have
going to
no
be a
idea.
year first.
We have no idea.
Yeah.
Poor kid. I hope he doesn't watch this later. And he's like, you didn't even know you were going to name me? And then you went with this? Chimichanga? Why did you go with that?
Well, all the other names are taken, you know?
Limited supply.
I spilled my water, Levi. I'm going to need one of those tissues. You were right. It was me.
Are you serious? That's so
No,
funny.
I'm joking. Yes, I'm serious. Thanks, guys.
You need some.
I'm going to hold on to this because this is going to be a hard episode. I just know it. Yeah, we're so... I'm not going to put
Already
that there on
pre-soaked.
display.
Already pre-soaked napkin.
Oh, why? Almost made me spill more water. Actually, we're going to kick this off. I've got a quick story. Ooh, story time. So, last night...
To learn more about you, Celeste, what's your earliest memory?
So my earliest memory is actually when I was 3 years old. My sister was born.
That's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory
that's cool.
is 3 years old, and you know how memories are. It's like, was that there?
Did
or
it really
not?
happen?
And like, was she actually born, or
Did she just show up?
Yeah, well, I've debated that on if she was born or not, or as a big sister does.
Was
But
she made in a
no,
lab?
yeah, found at Goodwill. That was mean. But no, my first memory is a nurse giving me, I believe, an orange dum-dum and saying, your sister was born. And I was very excited about that sucker. And then we went and watched, I think, Lady and the Tramp in like a waiting room, or maybe that was like a different memory, but like those two memories usually merge together to be the same of Peri's born, here's the sucker, go watch Lady and the Tramp.
That's cool.
So yeah, Peri, you are my first memory.
Aw.
Cute.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's pretty good.
That's a pretty good one.
I remember when my little brother was born, my parents were like, I don't know if this was exactly what their thought process was, but looking back, this is probably what it was. They were like, we got to try and make sure that they don't like hate having like another little brother, and like, oh, I'm no longer the littlest or whatever. So he gets born and like he's being passed around, and then my dad's like, and he brought you guys a gift. Pulls out this box and we open it up and it's a PlayStation 1. And we're like, yeah!
Coolest brother
we were
ever.
like, this is the coolest brother ever. Can we have another brother? Like, this is incredible.
Mom, how did that PlayStation come out of you? Like,
No, that was
how did he bring it with him?
because we were just like, yeah. And I was like 4 at the time, I think, somewhere on there.
Yeah.
And like, dude, that was like the coolest thing. I was like, this is the coolest little brother ever. Like, dude, this rocks.
That's why they didn't have more kids, actually, because they couldn't afford another PlayStation.
couldn't afford another
Like,
PlayStation.
We can't do this.
We can't
every
do this
time.
every time.
Started a terrible trend.
Yeah. Like, what were we thinking? It's a good thing we started that with the third one, but at the beginning for Byron.
Byron's like, wait a second.
Yeah. What did I get when Levi was born?
Where's my GameCube?
Where's my GameCube?
Yeah, I don't remember. I have no idea what my earliest memory is. It's a good thing I'm not the one being asked the question, but I don't remember Jude being born, but I remember Julia being born. And I did a terrible thing because when she was born, my grandparents from Georgia, so my dad's parents, came up to be there, and they were there like that week, and it was perfect because she was like right on time, I think, with her due date and everything. And so we're all going to the hospital together, and I said a horrible thing to my grandpa, my dad's dad. We're like piling into the minivan because my dad and my mom are already out of the hospital, and my grandparents, my mom's parents, are driving us and my dad's parents up there to be there when she's born. And I get into the back seat, and I'm a pretty big guy. My dad's a big guy. His dad was a big guy. And I'm like wedged into the back seat. And then I remember them being like, all right. We called him Big Daddy. Like, all right, Big Daddy, you're going to sit in the back too. And so he like gets back there, and he's a big guy like in the back of this minivan now, right? And I was like, I said something like, you're going to squeeze him back here next to me? And he was a very patient man.
Yes.
And so he's like, I'm going to sit right next to you, son. Or what did he call me? I think he just called me son, because my not Southern grandpa calls me Sonny Boy. But that one, I think he just called me son. He's like, I'm sitting right next to you, son. And he like sits next to me. And and then I realized like, oh, it's not that wedged, not that cramped. But then I don't know why, I was just such a punk. Like, and I thought that this would be funny because you like hear people say this in movies and it's kind of played for a joke. But then he like goes like this, like my leg's right there, and he like puts his hand on my knee or whatever. And I go, get your dirty, grimy paws off of me. I was like, oh, get your dirty, grimy paws off of me. And he cried. Yes. I don't know if he did it. Now, I was like 6 years old, right? I don't know if he cried really or to make me like, hey, you can't say things, they have consequences. But I felt horrible.
As you should.
Yeah. In my head, it was, so I've told the story of like when I kicked my dad between the legs that one time. In my head, it's like, oh, this will just be funny. Like, I didn't mean it to be mean. I just heard it, and it's like, this will be funny. But I'm like, whenever I think of Julia's birth, I think of that. I looked at my grandpa, and it's one of the few times I was around him. I'm like, get your dirty, grimy paws off of me. And then he was like, because he worked with his hands a lot. Like he had really dirty, calloused, stained hands, you know, and like, yeah.
And you were his.
I'm his namesake.
Yeah, and dude.
Yeah, I'm the
he
third.
lives in
He's
Georgia
the first.
all the time.
Yeah, and I barely ever saw him. And then he didn't get out of the car. He just went, and I just remember seeing him like tears. And then I was just sitting there and I was like, I did a bad thing, but I don't really understand it because I was like 6 years old, you know? And then, you know, like, I think I hope I apologize. I don't know, but yeah, that's something you were talking about when your brother was born. There's something from when my sister was born. I did a horrible thing.
That's terrible.
Yeah, here you go. I'm not making myself look great this episode. This is bad. What was your earliest memory, sweetie?
What's the worst thing you've done?
Yeah.
Well, I have no memories of my siblings being born.
You don't? What?
No,
That's strange.
I didn't exist yet.
Oh, you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Baby.
I think my earliest memory is like Christmas one year when we lived at what's that place?
Countryside.
Because we like, what was it? We had like this hallway, and at the end of it, like didn't it have a sliding door?
A pocket door.
Yeah, like had a pocket door. And so it was Christmas time, and I was like really little, and I used to cry every night. Like I'd wake up and I'd cry, and then I'd try to go sleep in my mom's bed, and she'd lock the door. And she was like, I'm going to lock the door so you can't come in here because you need to be a big girl and like sleep in your own bed.
Oh, yeah.
She was
And
8.
so
She was
no, I
8?
was not.
You were
8.
8 years old.
Your earliest memory
And
is
your earliest
8.
memory. That's
She was 12.
So like I woke up in the middle of the night or something, or it was like early in the morning, and I got up and I was like, oh, I probably can't go into mom's room because it's probably locked. So I saw the hallway like slider door thingy was closed, and it's not usually closed at night. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas morning. Oh my gosh. And like nobody else was awake. So I was like, I was just young enough where I didn't realize you don't really just go, you know, on Christmas morning and see everything. You have to wait for your parents to be like, let's go. So I just got up and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what's on the other side of the door. So I just like snuck down the hallway all by myself, and I opened it, and it was magical. I was like, oh my gosh, because my mom would like,
We had great Christmases growing
they were
up.
great. Like she, you know, the whole house was decorated, and there was all these presents, like, you know, all of a sudden it was like flooded with presents. And she would usually have like some that weren't wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
They were just like if they're like that year, I remember we got those beanbag chairs. Like each of us got our own. And so they weren't wrapped. They were just like there among all the presents. And it was just like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Like,
And the stockings and
Yeah.
everything. Yep. Nope.
Yeah.
That I remember that Christmas. That was my first Christmas helping Santa.
Whoa.
Santa asked me to help.
Does that ruin the magic a little bit?
And I was very, very disappointed because I helped put out 2 beanbag chairs. I was like,
Aww.
I want one too, but
That's funny.
I'm glad they're getting one, I'm sure is what I thought. And
I'll take Peri.
surprisingly, when I went back to bed, Santa must have put the rest
Yeah.
out.
Santa
and
really showed up.
he
Yeah.
came in clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
He was a little late, but
Well, he wanted me to have that
Oh, yeah,
joy,
good point.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
surprise.
What
in
a
the
good guy.
morning, So
But it was like beautiful. I just remember being little, like, you know, peeking out the door, and it's like quiet and like nobody else is awake. So I kind of felt like, oh man, this is like kind of creepy but special, and I'm excited, but it's Christmas, so I'm gonna do it. And I went out there and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best Christmas ever. This is amazing. Santa came last night. I'm like, oh
so much so that it's your earliest memory.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Wow.
so I like walked in there, and I kind of like, I didn't open anything, but I like, you know, kind of peeked around, and I like
Tasted something.
tried to look like, oh, is that my name? I don't think I could read yet. But I was like,
I don't think I can read yet.
and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, and I just spent some time doing that. And then I was like, I've got to tell mom. Like, she doesn't even know Santa came
She's
last
sleeping,
night.
and there's just
Like,
a
oh my
magic
goodness.
thing that happened.
So I like ran back and I tried her door and it was unlocked. And so I went in and I like, you know, she's like sleeping on the side like of her bed. And I just went up like right to her face. I was like, Mom,
I'm looking
Santa
forward to
came
that.
last night.
As the children do.
Yeah. And she's like, what? And I'm like, Santa came last night. I went out there and there's so much stuff and there's beanbag chairs and there's this and there's all these like stockings and presents. And I'm just like telling her all this. She's like, you're not supposed to go out there. And I was like, what? Like, what? Am I in trouble? Oh, I'm in trouble.
Broke
my
the
gosh.
rules. I'm going to jail.
I was
Santa's
like,
taking his
"No."
presents back.
Just poof, gone.
This is
Like,
all gone.
Yeah. She's like, you are supposed to wait. You're not supposed to just go out there. You wait till everybody goes out there. And I was like, oh.
So I have to wait for Patrick to wake up?
And she's like, and it's like
It'll be the day after
4:30
Christmas.
in the morning.
4:30? That's so late on Christmas morning.
You're a T-sin, dude. You have no idea.
Well, for me, she's like, you have to go back to bed for a few hours. And I'm like,
That's
and I could
rough.
never fall back asleep when I was little. Like I'd wake up so early and then I'd just be up. So I
Yeah.
just like laid there like,
Probably felt like days.
yeah, it felt like forever.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
T-sins.
I don't know if you guys know, but like our Christmas tradition was that on Christmas morning, we have to wait until 4 a.m. and then we go and wake up mom and dad so that we can go open presents and everything.
Your poor parents.
And if we stayed up, if we did not wake them up by 5, she threatened to come in and pour water on our faces to wake
No,
us up.
yeah, it wasn't just the parent. That's what I'm
'Cause
saying. There's a logic
my
to it that
mom-
I've learned recently.
My mom was the one that put in this.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
But I've learned recently from you that there's seemingly a logic, like whether she wanted it or not.
Oh, yeah,
It seems like there's a reason for it. It's kind of cool.
So we would get up and then we would like go open all the presents. And then my dad, like once we were done opening presents, he would be taking pictures and everything. And we would start like playing with whatever toys that we got. And then my dad would go put the prime rib on the Traeger. And then he and my mom would just go back to bed.
Yeah.
We would be playing with all of our stuff.
Okay.
And then they would wake up at like 8 or 9. And then like we would start to like be like either we were like still hardcore into whatever we were doing or we would start to be like
Petering out.
petering out a
Brilliant.
little bit. So then they were able to
kinda smart.
like
No,
go
it's-
through
it's
everything, clean
genius.
everything up. And like my dad's able to like cook everything. And
Well, they
he
got to
started
sleep
his roast
in,
at like
really?
5 and like, yeah.
Delicious dinner, sleeping in,
Yeah.
kids are happy.
I think it's like I always kind of loosely made fun of you. Like when we were going to high school, you'd be
Yeah.
like, "You guys do it so early. Like that's ridiculous. Like I want to sleep in." You're like, no. And then it was like this last year, whenever we were talking about it, and he told me that I was like, "Oh, it's kind of logical. Like to
because
get
you're
it
a
out of
dad
the way."
now. You're like,
Yeah.
oh.
I mean, yeah, I've honestly thought about it from that perspective. Like, oh, it's smart to be like, oh, they can be trusted to be distracted, and we're gonna go sleep. Like, actually, because so many parents go like, man, when you're a parent, then you don't get to sleep in on Christmas anymore because your kids are like waking you up. But if you just go make it so early that even your kids will end up tiring themselves out,
Yeah.
it's so
Because
cool.
like it's so hard to go to sleep on Christmas, you know? So we were not getting much sleep. And then we were like setting alarms and like waking up at like
and it's kind of fun. Like,
Yeah.
tradition itself, like familial tradition is fun.
It's so fun because like we
Gives
were
you a
also
memory.
told you will get in so much trouble if you wake us up before 4. If there's a 3 on the clock at all, you're in trouble.
403.
Yeah, I know, right?
oh, you got them there.
4:33.
We never
you're like-
we never even went no, we would actually be like, all right, we have to wait 2 minutes.
What's the longest? Did anybody
because
ever
if
get
their
splashed?
clock is never, not a single time.
That's a bummer. I wish.
We-
I feel like it would be Byron though if somebody. No, Byron wakes up early.
Byron wakes up better
Like
than
now,
I do.
yeah.
Yeah. And like he's always been more of an early morning person than I am. But like, yeah, it was pretty
Byron's
fantastic.
one of the least night persons I've ever experienced in
But
my
I
life.
do remember one year,
was just awesome.
like most of the time when we were like a lot younger, my parents would like stay up with us and stuff. But then later on, they started to just like, we're just going to go to bed. You guys are going to play your video games or whatever. And, but one year I got this massive Lego set and me and my dad stayed up for hours just putting this together. It's a big, like, it was like robots versus humans thing. And they
Cool.
had a big like excavator robot, like 3-legged. It had excavator legs, but it was like a giant like spider thing that had like turrets on top and stuff, and it could like move around. Like it was so cool. We spent like a ton of time like working on it, and like that's like one of the best like Christmas mornings that we had. But
we've talked a lot about, just even if they're kind of funny to other people or don't really make sense, which that one I now see the logic in, like just traditions kind of for the sake of tradition is kind of cool, but we want the traditions that we start to like have some meaning. So we've talked about like getting ahead of it. Like what are things that we want to establish now? Because even if like they don't have meaning, which seemingly that one actually did, like you just end up looking back on it being like, this is the thing we always did. And I just love that we always did it, So it's kind of cool to give kids that,
Have you heard of the ham story for traditions?
Mm-mm.
So it's this little kid and she's watching her mom make Christmas ham and she cuts the end of it off and throws it away or wraps it up or something. She puts in the ham. She's like, Mom, why do you do that? She's like, I don't know. My sister or my mom always did that. And she goes down the line asking all her grandparents and everything until she gets to like great grandma Sally or something. And she's like, Grandma, why do we do this every Christmas? Why do you cut the end off the ham? She's like, that's the only way it would fit in my oven. No reason, but it's tradition, and you just do it.
Now you
so.
just
That's funny. Yeah. No, a tradition like, yeah, I think it's, because like we've talked about this within the church, like the church has tradition, and like I got the opportunity to lead communion on Sunday, last Sunday. And, communion is essentially a tradition. Like it's a tradition that Jesus established, and it's tradition for a purpose. And so we've talked a lot about like, if that's how the Bible presents tradition, what are those sorts of things? Well, maybe it's because ovens aren't big enough, and we want to make a cultural change, Yeah. No, I don't know.
Things.
But like that one is great. I think it's a great tradition.
I mean, I didn't even think about it in that way at all until like a few years ago, Like, because it was always just like, oh yeah, we do this cool thing. We get our presents before any of you guys are even awake.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Well, question. So kind of, since we kind of just broached the topic of like, church tradition, you're both believers, who are, and I guess you guys can answer this in whichever order you want, who wants to go first, but who are some of the people that, Peri's going first. Peri, who are some of the people that you credit God having used to reach you with the gospel?
I think I've just been thinking about this person, like, not necessarily reaching me, like, with the gospel. I'm closer.
It looked
now.
like I pushed her hard. I did
Oh,
not.
on the
I did
edge.
not. She just.
He's pushing me again. Just kidding. Not again. He doesn't push me.
This is actually going like
This
to
episode
people,
is making me look terrible.
Oh, I love him. He's great.
He made you say that.
He's making you say these things. Blink once.
Go ahead, honey.
I love him. He's
Great. I mean, I had to blink, but okay. Anyway, Levi's distracting. So this person, like, I was just thinking about them. Like, they didn't really like lead me to Christ, like to be saved. But I just think that my friend Abigail, who all of you know, just at a time in my life, she just came in, like God just really used her to be a friend to me that I needed right then, because I was like a young adult who, when you grow up in the church, it's really easy to just kind of be like following God, but just because that's what you do and like that's how you've always lived, and you just go to church and you just read your Bible and you just pray, but you're just kind of not doing it like with all of your heart. You're kind of just doing it. And so I was sort of living for a long time like, well, I'll just, like, I love God. I'm a Christian and I do all these things, because like that's what's right to do. But I also, like, there was a lot of things in my life I wanted. And I just was kind of like, God, can you give me these things? Because I think those things will really make me happy. Also, if you don't, I'll just figure it out myself. It's like, yeah, that was a great attitude to have. And I knew it wasn't right, but it was really, I think, like an issue of like not trusting God enough, because I didn't trust him, like to trust that his plan was best and that he actually knows what will truly make me happy. And also a pride issue of like, I can do this better, which is ridiculous to think about.
But relatable.
But yeah, I think we all struggle with that. And so I was just kind of like on the outside living for God. Like, yeah, I read my Bible and I go to church and I pray and, you know, I'm really churchy, but, you know, like I had sin in my life just like anybody else. And I also just had this heart that was really focused on like, what do I want and how can I get it? And yeah, I'm going to ask God for it. But if he doesn't, you know, do what I want, then I'll just figure it out. Like, and I'm sure it will work out, whatever, which is a great plan. So, that's kind of how I was living. And I had all these plans of like, okay, I'll go to college and then I'll get this job. And then I was going to move out with my friend, a different friend, and like do all these things. And then a lot of those things just fell through. And I was like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? I have to like support myself or figure out what I'm doing with my life. And I want these certain things and I'm still like waiting for God to give me them. But I also sort of like, I don't know, maybe I'll just do whatever I want to do. Like it was just a hard time in my life because it's hard when you're growing up and you realize like, wow, life's hard and I have to actually figure this out. And yeah. And so that really just kind of broke me down because I had all these plans and then they didn't happen, or they didn't happen the way that I thought they should. And so then I was like, okay, shoot, well, that didn't work and that didn't work. And now, you know, I need to figure something out. So I just really worked hard at like trying to make new plans and like figure new things out. And I was still like, yeah, God, can you help me figure this out? Like, not like, God, can you work in my life? It was more like, God, I need to figure this out. Could you just like help me with it? But also I'm going to figure it out, you know?
So kind of like loosely still the same.
Basically.
But slightly shifted.
Yeah. Like I was starting to lose it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was still trying to be like, I've got this.
Yeah.
And God's just like the backup. And then those plans also like fell through. And just basically I got to a point where it's like, I just realized like, wow, I cannot actually take care of myself. Like I can't really, like not truly. And especially like, what was I thinking? Like my whole life, I could just work everything out the way that I thought it should and take care of myself and do this without God really. And so I just really got like kind of to the end of myself and realized like, I can't do this on my own and I don't really want to anymore. Like I'm messing up and I'm bad at this and I need God, you know? Like actually need him and I need him more than the things I want. And I want him more than the things that I want, you know, because it's like, he's God and he has everything I could ever need and want. Like I just started realizing that. And so that's kind of when like I just sort of surrendered my life to God to be like, you know what, you can have it all. Like, and all the things I want and hope for and all the things I'm scared of, like I just gonna give it all to you and trust you with it because so far I've done a really bad job at this and I can't do it anymore and I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm just going to trust you because really I saw like, okay, there's two roads I could go down, one with God and one without God. And I'm not going without God. Like I was like, that sounds terrible. So, and I think that helps with growing up in the church is you realize like, you see how God is faithful in the people around you and in your life. And so that really helped me in that moment decide like, no, I'm going to follow God. And so I really just decided like, okay, I'll just trust him, I guess. And I don't know what I'm doing though. I still had a lot of like questions and worries and problems that I needed to figure out. Like, you know, where am I going to work? How am I going to support myself? You know, like all that sort of stuff. And I read in like Matthew chapter 6, like the end of it. I don't know the verses. I'm not that great of a Christian, but
What?
I don't know the exact verses because, I'm not.
That's fine. Well, while you're talking, I can try and look for them if you want.
Basically, it just is talking a lot about like all the people in the world are focused on these things that you need, like food and water and shelter and clothing and like all of this temporary stuff just to keep you going. And those people are worried about it, but we don't have to be because we have God and he's our Father and he knows that we need these things. Like he knows you need shelter. He knows you need food. He knows all of those basic needs that you have, and he knows what you want and he is a good Father, and he loves us. And so basically it's saying like all those people are worried about it, but you don't have to be because you have me. Instead, what I want you to focus on is seeking me and seeking. It says like, seek his kingdom and his righteousness and all the rest will be given to you. Like he's like, just seek me and follow me and the rest, don't worry about it. I've got it.
Yeah.
And did you find it?
I did. It's a really long section. Do you want me to read that last little bit of it?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'll give you an idea. The whole section is Matthew 6. Kind of starts in verse 19 and then goes like all the way through the end. But starting in verse 32, it's referencing a lot of those things you just talked about: shelter, food, worrying about things that you may or may not have. But so to kind of recap it, but then in verse 32 it says, "For the unconverted pursue these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But above all, pursue his kingdom and righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. So then do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Today has enough trouble of its own." Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And beforehand, it has the, like, in all the like 20 verses before that, it talks about like God even cares about the sparrow. And it says, like, don't worry about the food that you're going to eat. You don't need to worry about it. It says, don't serve money and all this stuff. So it kind of like builds to that. Like I could read the whole thing if we want, but the part that you were really focusing on is that last 32 through 34. And that verse 34 is a really popular verse, right? It's one that people quote often. It's a very quotable verse, like, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Today has enough trouble of its own, which I think really encapsulates a lot of what you were saying too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, like, I just feel like God kind of broke me down to help me see that all I really need is him, and to help me see, like, you can't just keep living this life of like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I'm not really pursuing God. And so I decided to really start living for him and I was like, I still don't know the answer to all these questions. Like, I don't know where I'm going to live. And I don't know exactly, like, should I have this job? Should I go back to college? Should I do this? Like, I don't have an answer for all these questions, but I'm just going to do what I know God is telling me to do, which is seek him. I don't really know how to do that, but I'm going to try. And I know that God calls me to read his word. So I'm going to do it like I mean it. Like I'm going to do it like I believe it, I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
I know he calls me to pray. So I'm going to pray like I'm actually talking to him. Like I'm going to stop just like praying just because I should. Like I'm going to try to pray like, God, I need you and I need to talk to you. And then I'm going to go to church and I'm going to fellowship like I mean it. Like those people are important and those are the people I want to invest in and that I need to invest in me. And so that was a long story of like trying to get to the point
to Abigail,
where then God really brought Abigail in at that time, because I decided like, okay, I'm going to, like, I already have a church that I think is a great church and I believe in what they're doing there. So why don't I just keep going, but actually mean it and invest in the people there instead of just kind of being like, hey guys, yeah, like those are my church friends. Like, why don't I see them as my friends? And Abigail is like just a few years older than me, and we had gone to church together for a long time, but I had never really been super close to her. And then I just started going and trying to like talk to her. And really, it wasn't me. It was more like she's talking to me. And I just like, now is like more like, oh yeah, why don't I actually like really talk to her instead of just, not like I was trying to avoid her before, but you know, it's
Instead of polite chit chat, it's
Oh yeah.
exactly.
let's be friends.
Intentional
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. And like taking her up on when she'd be like, hey, let's go out for coffee, or like, let's go
Yeah.
do this. And she just is a really wonderful person. She really loves God. And she, I think, just displays being a young woman after God's own heart, like somebody who really is devoted to God and has a real relationship with God. Like it's not just an act for her. It's like she means it. And that's what I needed right then to see. Because when you decide to follow God, it's hard. And it's really hard because you have to deny yourself of a lot of things. And it can feel really lonely because it's like, well, I guess I can't hang out with those people now. And it can be really boring because it can feel like, well, I can't watch this movie. I really probably shouldn't do this or go there, or, you know, just all these things like God's kind of pruning out of your life. And so it was really nice that he brought like a person that it's like, God was saying like, yeah, you can hang out with that person and you should. And you guys can still do lots of fun things together, and you can hang out and you can talk and you can laugh. And there's even more people at the church too, who you can have this whole community of people and you can all do fun things together. And it really just showed me like, oh wow, there's like a richness in life that I didn't realize was there. And it doesn't have anything to do with the sinful things that I was distracted by before. And so really she just kind of was a really great friend to me. And then she was really good at being like, hey, you know, do you want to like read the Bible together? Do you want to just, you know, it didn't have to be anything really serious or
Heavy.
yeah, it was just like, let's pick a chapter, like a book of the Bible. Every week we read a chapter and then text each other what we think. Like,
Oh yeah.
so we didn't even have to like,
Schedule something.
exactly, which is really hard when you have to like schedule it. And yeah, it wasn't like a big deal. It was just kind of this fun thing. And then that helped because for a few years we just had like really good talks and we did Bible studies together and got to know each other better. And then she was just a good friend to get advice from, like especially when we were dating. She was dating somebody at the same time, and like we were kind of going through that together.
She ended up getting married 2 weeks before we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was perfect. Like God really lined that up well. And she was also a person that like a few years after I'd really started trying to live for God and being friends with her, I struggled for a little bit with like a lot of doubt, just like, you know, thinking, oh my gosh, do I believe this? Like, and why do I believe this? And what if it's all wrong? You know, when you just have those moments of like, oh my gosh. And I also struggle a lot with anxiety. And so that just like coincided with that, like, doubt. And I was really struggling with it. And I tried to like just handle it on my own for a little bit, but I was still like struggling with it and just not doing well because I was like, you know, when you're alone thinking all these thoughts and you're worried, it can just be like really hard to get out of your own head. And so I reached out to her and just said like, hey, I'm really struggling with doubt right now and I don't know what to do. And she was right there and she was like, hey, I've struggled with that too. Like made me realize like, oh, I'm not just a sinful, terrible, like, I mean, I am a sinful person, but you know, I'm not just like the worst Christian in the world. Like, I think we all struggle with doubt sometimes. And she was like, hey, these are some things, like some books that I read that really helped me. And these are things that I've realized like God has shown me that helped me when I was doubting. And then she didn't just say that and walk away. Like she checked in on me and continued to have those conversations. And she bought me a book that, she was like, this really helped me here, read it. And
That's great.
so I can just see how God really used her in a lot of ways and still uses her. She's still my friend. So she's great.
That is great. It kind of makes me think about like when Levi and I have talked about how in our life, we've specifically with each other kind of realized like it matters two directionally, like to confess your sin to one another too, or just like that vulnerability. So like in that way, when you're telling her like, hey, I'm doubting, you give her an opportunity maybe to be like, oh, I'm not alone in this, but also by saying that you get an opportunity to see that you're not alone in it, right? Like it goes both ways. And so that's why it's important, like for people, for the believers in the church to be doing that with one another, because even just sometimes just hearing that like can do a lot of healing or build up a lot for the future, right? Mm-hmm. So it's very encouraging. That's great.
Yeah, she's great.
Way to go, Abigail. Way to go to be an effective member of the church and like a sister in Christ. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Abigail. If you ever listen to this, that's
she better.
for you.
She has to, or else she's
yeah.
Well, she has a shout out now, so
yeah.
Be pretty lame if she didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
What about you, Celeste? Who's somebody that sorry, Levi,
who impacted you spiritually with your walk in God,
or one of the people
with God?
So my Christian walk is very different than Peri's. We both grew up in going to church and everything, and the best way I can kind of describe my life with Christianity or anything has kind of been like diet culture Christianity. Does that make sense?
I don't know what
like,
you mean.
You get really into it and you're doing great, and then you're just like, cool, but I'm going to skip reading my Bible this week, or I'm going to skip church this week because I've got this other thing I want to do. And then you just kind of get derailed, and then you watch a really good movie, or you have a really good conversation with someone and you get back on track, and you just get derailed again. So
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. So I'm coining the term diet culture Christian.
That's great. Like,
it's great.
Now I should have gotten it, because like that so perfectly fits what you're describing.
So that's how my relationship with Christ is.
Sisters.
Terrible, and not at all how I want it to be. And even currently right now, that is how my relationship is. So when it comes to people that I give credit to God using in my life, honestly, would be Peri and Jerry. And I feel like you guys have both, through your relationship, have inspired Jacob and I both to come back to Christ. Like, we didn't leave Christ or anything, but we just had him on the back burner, basically. And we were just kind of doing our own thing, and we were trying to find a church, but not super hard. And then you guys invited us into your church, and it fit our lifestyle and our family perfectly. And it just really got us kind of on the right track, and a more set track, a more feasible one. And then besides just the recent things with that, just growing up with Peri, she's always been my little sister, but she's always been way more mature. Especially...
I don't know. No, I'm kind of doing it more like, I don't know, cried most of my life.
Well, okay. In faith, you have been more mature than me, and in other aspects as well. But we, I think, can pull each other up in the places where we fail. And so just seeing you grow up and being so devout and so comfortable in your faith has always been an inspiration for me to be like, man, Peri has got it figured out. And like, what am I doing with mine? And why can't I seem to figure out how to talk to God and how to read the Bible? And I'm always making excuses for myself, where like I don't have the time, and it makes me think of my math teacher in middle school. Always said, I hate the term I don't have time, or I can't do it. There's just no time for me. It's no, I didn't make the time is the truth behind those words. So just honestly, even hearing you talk about Abigail, I'm like, Abigail's fantastic. I need an Abigail in my life. So I don't know, just you.
Wow. Cool.
Tears now.
I know. Well, honestly, I was like, I could feel it a little bit. And then I was like, I can't do this. I'm pregnant right now. Like, Jerry knows
stop.
if it starts, it won't stop.
Yeah.
But actually, I was thinking, like, as you were talking, like, just the day before yesterday, I think, I was literally crying to Jerry saying, like, I feel like the worst Christian in the world. And I just don't feel like I'm, like, good at this or, you know, like I am a good Christian at all. And I was, like, thinking about somebody else who I was like, oh, they're such a great Christian all the time. And they're just handling all these things so much better than I am. So, yeah, like, I think we all feel that way, honestly.
Well,
like,
and I can feel like maybe my new Abigail, not my new Abigail, but my Abigail, I can honestly feel a really good connection with Naomi in church.
Oh, good.
Hello, Naomi.
Where is she?
she's here.
I love her to death. She's a really great mom, Christian woman, just everything she does. And I love helping her and talking to her and just being relatable with her. Like we just as moms can be just looking at each other and just be like, oh, yeah, I feel that. I'm right there. Like even across the room, like one of our kids is running around in circles and like one of us is like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And you look at the other one, it's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. That's great.
So I can see maybe this is the beginning of my Abigail story.
My Abigail story.
My Abigail story.
Wow. That's great. That's cool to like have the like do you think when you were you credited Abigail, you know, God using Abigail a lot in your life. Do you think at the beginning of that you really saw that he was doing that, or did it take a lot of reflection later? Because it's cool to see like at the beginning maybe you're like, "Oh yeah, I think like it's just cool to think like God is using and probably going to use this person in my life more." Like I can't think of many times where I've thought of that like in the moment. Like, oh, I think, you know, God is and is going to. Like, did you feel that way about Abigail then?
I think I kind of recognized it, but more in the sense of like, I was just really struggling at the time. And, you know, it just feels really hard and lonely sometimes. And like everything in my life is changing now, which is good. Like it should, and I want it to, but it's hard and scary, and it's hard to leave behind a lot of the things that I thought were making me happy for so many years. And so I was just like, okay, I guess I'll go to church and I'll try this out. Like I'll try to really do this. And then I was just really grateful when, you know, well, not just Abigail, like there was lots of people there that like the second I was like, hey guys, they were like, oh my gosh, hey, like it was like an immediate, you know, let's all be really close friends. And I think I was just really grateful realizing like, wow, God, like I have people, I have things to do. Like I'm not alone. Like this is great. And I actually came to really love it. Like love going to church, love my friends there, love hanging out with them. And I think I didn't necessarily realize like God is using this person right now, but I realized like this is great. Thanks, God. Like I'm grateful.
So that's cool. Like that's like a cool place to be. Being like, and it kind of makes me think maybe we as believers should, you know, we always say this, like we should be more reflective of like the time we are and be thankful for what we have, and like in that way even maybe we talked about this on the last episode with Jarrett a little bit, like how it's really good to start prayer with thanks, and that can kind of put you in the right mode for prayer, but also just because we should be thanking God at all times. And maybe one of those things that we can more reflect on is like, who are the people right now? Like Matt, I'm kind of all over the place. Sorry. I've heard Matt say that something he often does is after a day of teaching, he'll go home, right, and he'll pray and say, God, show me the things I missed. Like, show me the things that I like, help me rewind and replay my day a little bit. And often God will be like, something will come to his mind. He's like, I don't even remember seeing this happen. But it comes to his mind. It's like, oh, I missed a moment where a student was really needing help. And so I can go to them the next day. And it kind of makes me think like maybe something we should be doing, like a discipline we could put into our prayer life is like, God, show me the people that are making an impact in my life right now. And so that I can thank them now and be grateful for them now rather than just later, which we should, of course, be grateful in retrospect. Like I'm grateful for Cyrus, my old youth pastor, and I'm grateful for Matt. Like I think one of the people for me that, you guys are talking about people in your life that, because I say like, I don't really know if I can think of anyone that at the time I remember thinking this person's making an impact, but I think the only one I've thought that about is Matt. I remember like meeting him the first time, being like, this guy's making an impact in my life. But yeah, maybe we should be doing that sort of thing. Like, God, show me what I'm missing. Who are the people now that I don't realize they're making an impact? And so that I can go tell them or thank them or
be more receptive.
Yeah, be like more invested more in like, oh, they are, but they could be even more like if I really went to them or to right. Like, yeah, that's really cool. Well, I'm honored to be included in, you've obviously known Peri and been closer to Peri. But I can say, for us, I think it's important that to be humble and like to accept people's, like compliments or things like that, like, and to be humble and like, remember, like for us, it's important that we remember like, that's all God, like, I'm glad then that since Peri was your answer, that she went first and basically said all these things like, man, I never had it together, like, because it's really important to remember that like we should be thankful for those people that God has used in our life. And we should like say like, I saw this good quality in you, because there can be this idea of humility that I get stuck in where it's like, I should never even allow people to say that I've ever done a good thing even. And like, that's not healthy, because God wants us to know when we're getting it right so that we know to keep doing that, and when we're doing it wrong so we know to stop doing that. And but it's also good, to hear like the people that we think highly of, to remember that to not put them too much on a pedestal, right? That's something Levi and I have talked a lot about. And like, it's just important. Like when we talk about Matt, we talk about him a lot. Like I think Matt is one of the godliest men that I know. And but like I have to sometimes remind myself like, he's not perfect, and like we have to remember that about our pastors and our teachers and just the people that inspire the people that inspire us. So I'm glad it went in that order too. Well done.
Yeah, I need to change my answer now since you said all those things.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
Might have to take it.
Retroactively.
Hey, but you held on to like, oh, even though she had all those issues, like she was still that impactful
I won't
person,
change my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I've thought about, you've told us that before. You've said things like that before. And it's an interesting place to be, because we look up to you guys a lot in a lot of ways, like specifically becoming parents. We talk about how there's a lot, there's a lot that we look at what you guys are doing and go like, man. So something we say often is like, it seems as though Jacob and Celeste have created time in the day, because we don't have kids right now. We have one on the way. And even without them, just trying to be married, it's like we feel like we're failing all the time at the simplest things. And then you guys are like doing like 100 other things. And it's just incredible. It baffles us. And so, hearing that, I'm just like it's this level of discomfort where I'm like that's impossible, because we're the younger ones. And like, I've never been a younger sibling, but now marrying into now being a younger sibling, and I've told you this before, but it's one of the most challenging things, because I don't know how to act as one. I used to say when I was younger, they're like, man, I really want an older sister. And then now like
prepare to be picked on.
Well, yeah, that's the part that's like kind of fun, whatever. But like, I had friendships at times where I was like, yeah, I do think I kind of always want an older sister. So I had some friendships like with like peers of mine that were like older girls. And it was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like there's the, maybe the older sister I wish I always had or whatever. But never really did, it wasn't like actually, but now marrying into this, I do.
Oh yeah, you're stuck with me. I'm not going anywhere.
Yes. Yeah. But it's just unique. And actually having two people that you're like, oh no, they're my, well, I guess no, Patrick too, right? And it's like, those are my older siblings now, and what does I never actually, even when I said I wanted that before, considered like what does that relationship actually look like? Well, clearly it must look different than the relationships I have with my younger siblings. So like, how do I navigate those relationships? And I don't do it right all the time. Like I think often I'll walk away from like when we've hung out like with you and Jacob and been like, man, I really screwed that up. That was like probably one of the most awkward interactions I've ever had. And it's because like I'm always coming at most of my like relationships and stuff as like the older one, and I'm trying to do this right. So I'm like really thinking about like, how do I appropriately be a younger brother?
You don't
Like
have to be a younger brother.
Well,
We're all adults.
Yes, I know, but like I don't, and it's just this weird thing. But it's probably good to say it because maybe it'll help me be better about not doing it. But like, yeah, no, we often think about you guys. Like, there's a lot that we have to learn from you as well, and I think it's good. And we're very grateful that I often think I'm very grateful that I married Peri because I also got some pretty awesome older siblings who were just like, man, how can we just do what they're doing and do it half as good as they're doing it? So, no, you guys have a pretty important impact in our life as well. I hope you don't forget that because you really do. We're honored to in whatever way God chooses to use us in anybody's life, and it's an honor to be used in your guys' life in any capacity. But yeah, don't forget God's using you in ours too. So
Useful. I always
like-
want to be useful.
I'm always like, okay, I need to like make dinner. I need to clean the floors. I need to do this. And then I need to respond to this person like on my phone because they're texting me. And then somebody's like, oh, should we like Jerry would be like, you want to invite these people for dinner? I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Ah. And then you're always just like, yeah, so you guys want to come over for dinner tonight?
yeah, that
And I'm
baffles
like,
us.
5:30. I'm like,
Yeah. I'm like, what? And you're like, I don't know, I'm making it, but it'd be
the
fine.
house is a wreck,
Like-
and the
And
kids
I'm
are
just
running
like-
around naked, and they haven't gotten dressed all day. But like, see, my idea is like, I like company. I like to share in the misery of parenthood.
Sharing the
You just pull it off, though. It's like, and the dinner is delicious, by the way. And your plants aren't dying. My plants are dying, and I have no kids yet out of the womb. And yeah, I'm always like, how did they like? And then you guys are like, hey, we're gonna have a church dinner at our house.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, sure, like
Yeah.
40 people. Come on over. We'll just do it.
That's a really godly example though, because like when we were reading that scripture that Peri brought up, like it talks about like not worrying. And I think you and Jacob, something you do well is seriously like, I mean, sure, I'm sure everybody struggles with worry at times, but like, I feel like I've never experienced you guys really worrying. I'm sure you guys have experienced Peri and I in a state of worry often.
All the time.
Right?
So it's just like, yes, yes.
Maybe.
But like
Maybe a little bit.
I feel like that's something I don't even think, like when I think about people that worry, I don't think I would ever think of you guys. I think it's and that's a way that I know God has used you to inspire us and other people. Like you're great examples of what Christ calls us to be like in not worrying. And I think it's really cool. So
We could stand to worry a little bit more, probably.
maybe.
no, it's not worth it. Trust me. It's not worth it. Don't start that
I call
snowball.
it, laissez-faire parenting, just hands off.
Hands off.
Well, like
Let 'em do whatever they want.
laissez-faire, like government
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like laissez-faire parenting. Like,
Yeah.
So
you're hungry, go eat.
you guys have been married for like 9-10 months, right?
Peri and I, let's see, married in October. 2 months puts us into December. And then what month is it right now? August.
It just
yeah.
became
So
August.
9 months.
Yeah. So
We just passed 9 months.
in talking about all this, you guys are like starting to get to know each other, right?
Starting to get to, well, we got to know each other before we got married.
Sure. But like now you've been living together, you're getting to like know.
Yeah. Are you going
Much
to put us to the
more.
test?
Yeah, so we're going to put you to a little bit of a
no.
test. So this might go a little bit long in the episode, but we can always throw it on Patreon or whatever. But we've
What
got
color do you want,
I
sweetie?
want green.
I knew it.
some
The
questions.
question, what's her favorite color, better not be on there because I just succeeded. What color do you think I'm going to want?
You gotta take that one out.
What color do you think I'm going to
Blue.
want? Wrong. Red. No, blue. Yeah, you're right.
So we're going to start out. Peri,
Oh, do you have a bag for these?
you've got the whiteboard.
I've got the whiteboard.
So how this is going to work, we're going to go back and forth asking questions. But it'll be for Peri first. We're gonna ask a question. Jerry, you don't say anything.
Don't look at the whiteboard.
Perry, you don't make any facial
It
things.
actually doesn't matter if I see it, I think.
No, it does matter.
Oh, it does?
Because she's writing down the
Oh,
answer.
my bad.
And then you're going to
Answer it
These
answer
permanent?
it verbally.
No.
And then we'll reveal what the true answer is
Yeah.
and see if you got it right.
and see how wrong you are.
What do we win
Um,
when we win?
if you win, you will get, I don't know. You'll get a thumbs up.
I
from
want
Shibley.
Shibley's hat. No, I'm just kidding.
You want Shibley's hat?
That'd be
like,
so mean.
no.
He's like,
If you win, you get the duck.
You
We
get to
have
Wait,
like
that little rubber
40
duck?
in our house.
No, but this
no,
one's
be,
special.
honey, be grateful. It's a very nice thing of her to give us another.
But
of
now you'll
40
have
ducks that we
41.
have from
41.
Yeah, 41. Do you know what's better than 40?
41.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So,
Here we go. Let's do it.
first
This'll
question.
be fun.
Perry.
So she's writing the real thing down.
She's writing the real thing down,
And then you're gonna
not
tell me
saying
to guess.
anything, and then Jerry's gonna guess once
don't
you're
have to
done
write,
writing
like,
down.
A lot, just a general.
Just like as short as possible.
Got it.
This will be fun.
What's the most ridiculous thing that Jerry has done to make you laugh?
So I'm guessing
So
what
you
she
can go
thinks the most ridiculous thing I've ever done
that you've
her
done
laugh
to
is.
make her laugh. So you can do like a story, and then if you have like a couple words that like embodies like so that we can really tell that he's on the right track, you know?
like you have a whole story, but instead you just write purple tongue and
Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's that time that I had to like somebody had to
Like
do the
the
Heimlich
inside
because his
joke.
tongue got like so purple and massive.
This is the
when he
worst
choked.
type. I can't believe I agreed to play this because I'm so bad at like being given
On
a
the spot.
category and then like here's a category. Think of something that fits that category. Like, what's your favorite? This. Like, I have no idea. Like, I can't do it.
I can't think of any of those items.
Like the earliest memory question is terrible for me. I would never be able to answer it. The only reason I had some sort of answer is because you guys said something that I could
Yeah.
say, oh, that relates. Like,
Yeah. I mean, mine wasn't my earliest memory. Mine was like from
I
like
know.
2 years earlier, you know.
Okay, so
2 years earlier
you're
than
writing
your earliest
down
memory?
what you
No.
what
Then-
you
then when
think
my
the
brother
most
was born. I
ridiculous
was, like,
thing I've done
1
to
and a
make
half
you
or 2 or
laugh
something.
is. What's the most ridiculous thing? Don't say it. Just write it down. I have to think what she would consider ridiculous.
I thought this would be easy. Like,
It's because I don't do
old
Think
anything.
of all the
Jerry.
times you've cried and just pick out the funny one.
No. Laugh, not
I thought you
cry.
said laugh.
It's laugh. It's laugh.
Well, laughing till you cry.
Till
That's
you
what
cry,
I mean.
yeah.
I'm not saying what's the
Laugh
worst
so
thing
hard
Jerry's
you
done to
peed
make
yourself.
you cry.
What's the last thing that Jerry did to make you cry?
No.
When was the last
no.
time she peed herself? She's pregnant.
No.
Yesterday.
From laughing so hard from
Yesterday.
Jerry. Yesterday.
So okay, all right. Do you have
I have
something?
no idea, guys. I have no idea.
Just
Then just think of something ridiculous
about
I've
the
done. I
funniest
guess.
thing that he's done that you can that is readily apparent to your mind.
Does that help?
Does that help at all?
Maybe we're
I
both
don't even
so
know.
like each other.
I literally don't know.
Um,
Is he even funny?
Is he
Yes,
even
he
funny?
is.
Jerry
That
is
was a
just
joke.
ego. Just
Yes, he is.
yeah,
It's identity.
yeah.
He's very funny.
yeah. My identity for myself is that I'm funny. That's what would you consider yourself as like your identity? I'm funny.
I'm funny.
And I don't think that.
I mean, that's pretty funny if you were to say that. You
that
know,
would be funny in a sad way. I'm trying to think of something ridiculous, like something categorized ridiculous that I've done.
Perry's not
Okay.
even got anything.
Yeah,
It's only been
Pass.
8 months.
Pat, you can't pass. So just write something that you
we've
think.
got 3 questions for each of you.
Yeah.
You know,
I
you
don't
can't
know,
pass.
though.
They're different questions.
Yeah. So just write down something that you think was funny.
Do
then,
you
I
have
guess.
an answer for her?
No.
Yeah, and if you get it wrong, you don't get Shibley's hat. You know, that's all that's on.
And if you
the
get it
line.
right, we don't get that either.
I mean, if you get all of them right, you might get the hat. You know,
Okay. What's the last thing that I did to make you laugh? I don't even know
Okay,
that.
cool.
This is great. So I'm not going to know. That's the point. What's the last thing I did? Thank you, Shibley, for getting us back on track.
yeah.
You're a genius.
Shibbles is the best. Yeah. If it's just the most recent,
The last
Perry's
thing I-
really got it. Perry's got
Oh.
it. She's.
Writing a
Oh, I
novel.
know what it is.
Is it when he died?
It's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can show the camera.
Yeah, you
but
can
not
show
me.
the camera, but not.
Okay. Show that camera, honey. That's the one that's like facing you.
You going?
Okay, am I ready? I just wait for you to tell
Oh,
me.
yeah, dude. Go for it.
Okay, there's something specific I said last night that was like, I remember thinking it was funny. But I don't remember the specific thing that I said. But like in a state of panic, I think at one point I said something like, honey, I'm sorry, it was fight or flight there or something like that. Like, but yeah, just being ridiculously graphic in the way I was describing how bad I had to use the restroom last night and freaking out about it. Is that what it is?
Just that you almost had an accident.
Oh, okay.
In the car.
That's somehow a more embarrassing way of saying it.
And I was like, honey,
I know what it was.
go,
The specific thing is she told me, she goes, Jerry, sometimes it's okay because sometimes we just have accidents. And I went, I'm not pooping in the car. And that's what and then she's like, well, I'm like, are you telling me?
Just a little bit.
She's like, I was like, are you telling me right now you're giving me permission to poop in your car? And she's like, well, sometimes. And as soon as she went, well, sometimes I'm like, no, because it's my car too now. Like, I'm not going in the car.
He's like, I can't talk about that right now.
And then I was like, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was really hard. Like he's like freaking out, and I'm like,
she was trying not to laugh.
I'm like, I'm trying so hard not to.
That might be one of the most ridiculous things I've done, though. Like, it wasn't intentional, but I did do something ridiculous, which is like almost poop my pants. So that might be up there. Like if we actually charted it. All right, what's mine?
Okay. Who
So this.
or what?
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Whoa, Levi, micromanage
Not
much?
an idiot. What is the partner, Peri, favorite type of music or artist?
That's what you were doing last night.
Gross.
No.
Pooping.
Oh man.
Well, favorite type of music or artist? I think I should have to be more specific because favorite type of music, I mean, it's just Christian music. Like, there's no, she's not.
I mean, but
Know
there's genres in Christian music.
Okay.
Yeah. Screamo
What was that?
Christian, metal Christian,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and say,
country Christian,
yeah.
Christian.
Her favorite
gospel
Christian artist.
Gregorian
old
chant Christian.
school, hymns. Peri doesn't even know apparently.
Wait, are we doing artist or are we doing?
I'm writing a specific artist.
Okay.
I think I spelled the name correctly.
So I feel like you're helping each other now.
What? I had to make it.
I think you're cheating.
What? You
Talking in
said,
code.
I'm just saying I'm doing artist because it would be too easy because Christian is just the answer if it's genre.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's
So
why
you're doing
I'm
artist?
making it harder.
Oh, okay. Okay. But she doesn't know. You might have just wrote a genre down.
What? I'll do both.
Well, you already told her what.
You already told her. Yeah. You're breaking
You
the
guys
rules,
are being
but whatever.
very picky. You're letting Levi's micromanage infect you over here.
Yeah, Levi's.
I wrote something down. You
All
got
right, Peri.
something, honey?
Okay.
Let me think about
Go
it
for
for
it.
a
the
second.
camera.
Maybe I want to change my mind.
That's a face.
No, I mean, no. I'm going with this
All right, Peri.
because, well, no, she doesn't say it yet.
Okay.
Okay. I think
Did you just show it to
I
her?
didn't see it.
Totally
Okay,
on
sorry.
purpose.
I didn't
100%
see it,
on
but he
purpose.
totally just showed that to me. Okay. I think he probably said J.J. Heller. Am I right?
No, I said Phil Wickham
Oh yeah.
because people used to say that you were going to marry him.
Who said that?
Who said that?
You told me when we were dating that somebody jokingly said, like, do you want me to try and find Phil Wickham so you guys can date and get married or something?
What?
I thought Jim said that to you.
Jim
don't think
Jim
knows who Phil Wickham
is.
Yeah, but you told me like Jim was jokingly like,
But that's
that
why-
Phil Wickham guy, you gonna marry him or whatever?
But that's why
I
he's your
think
favorite.
so. No.
If you're listening,
I do
Phil.
like Phil Wickham.
if you're listening,
She's
Phil,
taken.
Yeah, back off.
Back off, Phil.
But yeah. Okay.
Was I right and you were wrong? Like, is Phil actually your favorite and you just didn't think of it?
I think
JJ Heller.
Heller's
Yeah, I
better.
should have known. When you said JJ Heller, I was like, oh yeah,
I
she's
just
right.
like more of her music.
Yeah,
Than
because he's got like one good song and it's already overplayed.
more than just one, but
That's a matter of opinion.
Well, I think he does have more than one, but
No, good one.
oh, okay, true.
All right, hit me.
Who's
Us.
more likely to tell a good joke or pun?
who's more likely between the two of us, and this is in her
Tell a
opinion,
good joke.
good
or
joke
pun.
or pun. According to her opinion, well,
It's tough, 50-50.
all right, show the camera, sweetie. So let me talk through my reasoning. She either is playing it to a joke, because Peri is pretty humble. So I think she would honestly give the honest answer, which I think she would honestly say me. But I think she's taking an opportunity to kind of play more to the funny side of the podcast right now, because I've been made to look bad in this episode. She probably wrote herself. So it could be like, haha, so that I would be like, you didn't. So she can be like, Jerry, you didn't say me. Or not. Or she's just actually being honest. And I think she thinks, because she's told me before, she's like, you're funnier than I am. Oh, yeah. This is, Shibley, this is how I think all the time about everything. It's always
Inner
this way.
monologue.
It's horrible.
No, it's inner dialogue. There's no monologue.
No,
because it's back and
It's
forth.
my two
him.
me's like going.
Yeah, he
Okay,
personality.
look me in the eyes. She wrote herself. Dang it.
You're funnier than I am.
All right.
It's just the truth.
It's just the truth.
According to my wife, not me. All right. Wow, we're 1 for 3.
Okay.
Does this mean
There's
like
another one?
do we have to get a divorce if we don't win, or
Yeah, I mean that was.
so we got
You
all
either
three
get
in
a
this one?
hat or you get a divorce.
Wow.
There's no.
we
in
won't do
between.
that. It's unbiblical. Sorry.
Okay, Jerry. Sorry. What is your partner's favorite way to show affection? Their love language, if you will.
Wait, so
So the
you're
5 love
asking-
languages
So-
are what?
So you're.
You are guessing what he
What?
believes your.
Wait, are we guessing what Jerry's is? Like Jerry's writing down what
Jerry-
his is.
I'm writing down. It says you ask me the question. What is your wife's love language? Right?
Favorite way to show it. So you are.
Yeah. I'm
for
guessing
Peri.
what hers, or it would make sense the other way too. Like I'm writing down what mine is, and she's gonna say, because the way this has been posed before is that the person without the thing is doing the guessing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
So-
both. Write down what you believe yours is and what you believe hers is, and she will guess.
To both answers. So she's guessing 2 answers.
Yes.
So I put 2
Yeah.
categories
You're
here.
welcome.
Mine, Paris. It's just making it more interesting. So what I believe my love language is, and what I believe her love language is.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Yeah. I'm
Don't-
just
Don't
asking.
think out
is that-
loud this time.
Yeah. Did I? I didn't think out loud last time. I did the same thing.
allowed
I
is not allowed. There you go.
It didn't matter because I got it wrong.
And don't show it to her
What
this
can
time.
I? Can I actually
Even
ask
though
her
it
what
didn't
the
work.
5 love languages are?
Yeah, are we going like technical, what that book says?
Words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and gifts.
Okay.
Receiving
I
gifts.
believe mine is. I believe Peri's is.
Gifts.
And this is giving or receiving?
What?
It's what your.
It's just your primary
It's
one, right?
it's what your
add
primary
another
their
level?
person's primary one is, so they also show it
Of
that way,
showing,
and they
that's-
also want
Yeah,
that.
I assumed
as
it was
well.
the way you show.
Yeah, because what you show is basically what you are most of the time,
Some
because that's
people
what you're wanting.
have like a primary for either, but usually the one you show is analogous with
Is
how you're
yeah,
shaped,
yeah.
Okay, so I'm focusing
Unless
on
you
the
know
show.
what the other person's is, and then you're actually
you do
doing what
both?
theirs is.
Okay, so I've written down what maybe I should make it bigger so that the camera can see it easier.
he's writing in just like 5 font.
Okay, and then Peri's.
Tim just zooms in the camera.
Okay,
Enhance.
man, it's hard to write like this. Okay, so for you two,
Yes.
does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
For the camera, and I'm going to turn it back towards you so you don't accuse me of cheating.
Okay,
Shibley, we good?
we'll know it when we see it.
Okay,
Okay,
Peri.
Okay,
Okay.
Peri. What is mine?
I think yours
What did
is
I write? That was
acts
mine.
of service.
Almost showed her the other one. She didn't look.
Honey.
And yours.
And yours?
And I think mine would be quality time.
Well
Get it
done.
right?
You
guys
did it right.
Woo!
You got to stay
Wow.
married.
This
For
time.
We've
now.
never even talked, like, we were given that book and we haven't read it together.
I haven't read it.
We have that book.
Yeah, you know who gave it to us? Abigail, honey.
You're right.
Sorry, Abigail.
Guess you don't
Listen
look
to
up to
just
her
the
that
earlier
much.
part.
Yeah.
All right, is that 3 or is that 4?
That's 4. 4. So now
So we're 2 and 2. We
Yeah.
got this, sweetie.
you got 2 more questions.
That one was easy. But we do talk about that sort of thing all the time.
Without reading the book.
Can I real quick say what I think her secondary one is?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it touch? Do you think is your second?
Probably.
Yeah. What do you think my secondary one is? Because they were gifts, words, service, time, touch.
Words.
Yep. Boom.
So
We get 4 points. Yeah, now we're winning.
what is Peri's favorite quality about you, Jerry?
My facial hair.
Well, you can't.
You can't say it before she.
You don't understand how
Yeah,
to play
you-
the game.
She has to write it down first.
It's obviously not the answer.
What if she wrote that
Shibley,
down?
what were you trying to say?
Oh, what is wait.
What is Peri's?
What is Peri's favorite quality about Jerry?
Okay. What is her favorite quality about me?
Brain blast.
Brain
Brain blast.
Does he have that many?
brains?
Well, she's gonna just start writing. And
Qualities.
just,
Yeah, you can only write one, sweetie.
Wow.
don't get overwhelmed.
I think that Soul Patch has changed you.
Yeah. I feel like a rock star, an all-star.
Well, somebody.
Okay, are you done, honey? Okay. Show them and then I'll walk through my... I have to think out loud. That's the way I think. My eyes are closed.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay. That's. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's okay.
Well, I don't want to say something that might give it away.
I don't think I think she'd write something earnest. Like she's not going to write humor.
I
think,
wouldn't have wrote it.
His eyebrows.
yeah, and she's obviously not going to make this into a joke. I think it's going to be something like or she did.
Peri and her eyebrows.
It's going to be like humility or care or
Yeah, he shouldn't cover them up
Leadership.
so much by his glasses.
so. No, it's not my eyebrows. I feel like it's going to be between like leadership and like tenderness or like care. But I think she would have written something along the lines like tenderness or care.
So, what is your final answer?
That
Tenderness,
like they're
care.
like the same thing.
You were close.
Peri.
Oh, really? Are you serious? Yeah, that makes sense. As soon as I said that, I was like, but the big thing was like in finding a husband, she wanted someone that would actually, sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was thinking like the way that you like lead our family and take care of me. Like he's
No. You're cheating.
Cheating. There's no answer being given.
She's trying to encompass.
trying to
leadership
encompass
is
tenderness
If
part
I'm
of it.
allowed
into
to
leadership.
describe my answer, she gets to describe hers.
And she gets one
The
word.
way that you lead is that you take care of our family. You take care of me.
But that's not tenderness, so.
All right.
But-
For you guys to try and tie it up.
Ah, man, I keep doing this. I come up with 2 and then picking the wrong one. Is this the last one?
Yes,
Yeah.
Poopy.
for all the marbles.
Oh, okay, so none of the other ones matter.
We're getting marbles.
Well, this
All the
either
points.
ties you up
Sorry, I
or
almost
you're.
marked you. This either ties us up. Oh, yeah, 3-3. Here we go.
If you get this right. You know?
Yeah, well, obviously.
What is Peri's favorite hobby or activity to do together with you?
Oh.
Oh, Peri's face tells me.
Perry's not so easy for her.
Remind me the question. So I maybe I missed
Favorite activity or hobby for you guys to do together?
her favorite thing for us to do together. Okay,
So go, Perry.
then I'm not crazy.
Oh, wait.
No.
Do we?
Are you ready for me to reveal to them, not to you? Okay. Okay.
Don't mess
Man,
up.
I want to make jokes when I see whatever it is, but I can't reveal it, you know?
Okay, honey, what is it?
I think it's probably like going on walks together.
Aww.
Bingo, bango, bongo. What was your joke, Levi? Go ahead.
Oh, I don't remember what it was.
Wow,
It was
pathetic.
for the moment.
It was basically still the moment. Yeah, it's like
No, it
going.
wasn't.
I mean,
It
that
got
was our
broken.
second date. We went on a walk at Willamette Mission. because she says she loves to go on walks. And
Love it.
that's like her favorite thing to do without me as well. It was like before I was there, but also not anymore. But like before I was dating her and eventually married her, like it was her favorite thing to do already. And it's her favorite. Like she's always saying, like, I wish we would go on more walks together. So we went on a walk recently.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you turned the love language one into a two-parter, so I think you guys won.
Oh, that was cute. It started. It happens way more often than you think the further
Thank
you
you,
get into
Shibley.
marriage.
Thank you, Shibley. We needed that, that layup, or else it
Thanks.
looked bad for our marriage.
So
Yeah.
by bending
the
the
ones
rules,
that mattered, you guys picked some.
You guys got it.
I mean, there were some in there that really, inconsequential, but the ones that were consequential, love languages, we got that one right.
Yeah.
Quality time together.
I guess.
Music.
Who cares about music? Relationships built on music. Pff, it's like a life built on sand.
You're surpassing fatherhood and going straight to grandparenthood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight to elderhood.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that.
Wait, you're already?
Yeah.
He was an elder before he was a father.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us. That
Yeah.
was a fun way to end a serious conversation. We hope you enjoyed. Maybe we'll have to, in the edit, put some music behind that so it's a little more lively because it's hard to do that like that. But that was fun. What are the ones we got right then? The love language one, that quality, or like the favorite thing for us to do together, and what was the other one?
The quality in you that she.
Yeah.
No, I got that wrong.
He got that.
Oh, that's right.
Last thing that made her laugh.
Last thing that made her laugh.
Yeah, which is
yeah.
another one you kind of made easier for us.
Yeah, it made it really easy after we had already talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so like Levi said, it doesn't count. We lost.
No, it doesn't count. You guys lose. Yeah.
Bummer. I
So-
really wanted that hat.
Yeah. Before we end out the episode,
Yeah.
we do have a question.
A tradition.
Tell us a joke.
I'm
Celeste
going
has to go
first,
first.
so you can't steal.
I
Nice.
don't have a joke.
So
You're gonna have
I've
to
done
think of
this
one.
once.
Quickly. I came prepared because I am Jacob's wife.
Glad we
Totally
cleared
didn't
that up.
Google this right before I got here.
Better think of one.
Why did the man fall in the well?
Trying to get Timmy out.
I don't. Lassie wasn't there to bark at him.
He couldn't see that well.
He saw a different well. That is a good one. I like it. That's good. All right.
I don't have it.
Sorry, that's not an option. No
Go.
guest before has had
We
special
can't leave
treatment.
until I.
No, we
No.
can't. We can't end
You're
the
the
have
recording.
mage's bride. You have to have an answer.
You say the mage's bride?
Yeah, Mrs. Mage.
Oh, here. I'll do Aunt Trina's joke. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Aunt Trina.
Alligator.
Alligator who?
Alligator tissue. Ha ha ha. She used to
What?
tell that. I guess mom said she used to
It's a bad joke.
just say that all the time.
You've disappointed
And
everyone.
mom was like, shut up, Trina. I gotta laugh.
That's the joke. It's a whole scenario setup. That's great. Well done.
That is
you did me
incredible.
proud. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you too for being here. This was a fun episode, and I think it was a good one. For those listening, please go, leave a comment. Let us know what your favorite part of the episode was. Maybe you could have played that game along with us, whatever. Go to discord.gg/Christian Influence. Get involved there. We love you very much.
Roll the outro.
That's a good one.